Today we're going to be talking about habits and how there are generally two types of people. There's a type of person that's very disciplined, very consistent and motivated towards their habits. And then there's the rest of us that aren't very disciplined or aren't very consistent when it comes to habits, even though we know that these habits are good for us. Habits like exercising or eating healthy or journaling or meditation and some form of work. If you're a student, it could be studying, or if you're not studying, it could be building a business, or it could even be some passion project of yours. You know that if you incorporate these habits into your life, lives would improve. There's no question about it. You would look better, you'd feel more confident, you'd come up with better ideas, you'd become more creative, and just be presented with better and better opportunities if you decide to take care of yourself. But then for some reason, it's something that most people don't do. It's something that we struggle with staying consistent at. So by the end of this video, I hope to give you a different perspective on how to approach habits and help you stay consistent, because that's the area in which most of us struggle with. It's easier to get started, but when it comes to staying consistent at these habits, we usually fall short. So how do you go about it? Most people tend to go the whole 1% better approach. Yes, that could be beneficial to others. For the most part, some of us end up not doing things because we don't see results sooner than we would have hoped, and because we aren't making a big impactful change in our life, so we usually don't follow through. So instead of trying to do it 1% at a time or trying to do it perfectly your first time around, trying to get all the equipment that you need, trying to make the best schedule, the best to-do list that you could make, instead try to go all in, try to make it a big impactful change.
So I was editing the video and I realized that I didn't articulate myself well when it came to the difference between 1% better and going all in on your habits. So let's use uh, eating healthy as an example. Instead of you actively having to think about what you have to eat and what you have to prepare that is a healthy meal, because usually if you're hungry, the easiest thing that you're going to grab is the first thing that you're going to eat. So instead of you actively having to think about what you have to eat that's healthy, get rid of everything in your house that is unhealthy. Go out shopping and get only healthy options. Get things that you know are going to be easy for you to prepare when you're hungry, or something that's already prepared but you know is a healthier option than the things that you have in your house. Instead of you having to resist eating a bag of chips, just don't keep the chips in your house. Just decide from now on, I'm not going to buy any soft drinks. I'm not going to buy any unhealthy snacks. I'm only going to buy healthy snacks, and that's what's going to be in my cabinet of food wherever you store your food. Yeah, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, and I hope the rest of the video is going to make sense to you.
Decide to pick one or two of these habits, whether it's working on something of your own or exercising or eating healthy. Just pick two or three of those habits, maybe more if you can manage to do so. Do those things the first thing when you get up in the morning. Don't even try to contemplate it. Just commit to it and tell yourself, when I get up in the morning, I'm going to do these 5 things. I'm going to do these 3 things, these 2 things on my list. If it means the first thing that you do when you get up is 10 push-ups, do that. If the first thing that you're going to do is write down what you're thinking, do that. If it's going to be meditating for 10 minutes in that day, do that. At least it's going to become part of your daily routine. The reason why I say you should do it the first thing when you wake up is so that you can tackle those things on your to-do list and not have to worry about it for the rest of the day. Because when you wake up and you go to school or you go for work, by the time you're coming back, you're already too drained to even think about doing these habits that you know are good for you. And you're going to make excuses like, I'm too tired, or I'll do it later, I'm not prepared enough. So prepare to do them the night before. If it means setting out your gym clothes or putting your book that you're going to write in, or maybe if you decide to read, put the book that you want to read close to your bed. If you decide to start waking up early, set an alarm and put it on the furthest end of your room, so that when the alarm rings, you get up and you turn it off, and then you start doing the things that you're supposed to do first thing in the morning when you have that energy to do it. So that's how you can go about going all in your habits, instead of taking it 1% better at a time, instead of going easy on yourself, because most of us benefit from drastic changes instead of slow incremental changes in our lives. So now the question comes in, how do I stay consistent at these habits? How do I follow through? How do I keep doing it even when I don't feel motivated to follow through with these habits? Because sometimes you wouldn't even be tired. You just lazy around, and then the time comes to do the thing and you don't feel like doing it. You just don't feel like it that day. A piece of advice that I can give you, something that I've been using recently, is to do it for the future you. Don't think about how you feel in that moment. Think about how you would like your situation to be the next day. Think about what's the most important thing for you at this moment. Would you like to wake up the next day and get all those things done? Or would you like to end up with a list of things on your to-do list that you haven't accomplished by the end of the day when you get back from work or you get back from school and you're completely drained? You have to take accountability for your own life. When you aren't accomplishing the things that you want to do, you have to remember that you are in charge of accomplishing those things. You are in charge of doing those habits and improving in your life and elevating your quality of life. You are the one who's in charge of doing it. So what is the most important thing for you in that moment in time? How would you like to wake up tomorrow? Imagine if you had to do the dishes in the evening after having your dinner, your supper, whatever you'd like to call it. When you wake up tomorrow morning, would you like to wake up with a pile of dirty dishes in the sink, or would you like to wake up with dishes that are already done? Because when you keep on procrastinating, you end up having to do way too much later down the line than you would have had to do before. And it's not like it's the same amount of energy that you use. I think you can testify on this. When you have an assignment, you have to get it done by a certain date. When you're doing it when the date is approaching or it's the following day, it's so much more stress and so much more pressure for you to have to do it the night before than if you would have done it months or weeks before the due date. So you waiting to do things later and later only waste time, and the one who has to suffer is the future you. The one who has to go through all the consequences and has to deal with everything that you put off for later is the future you. So when you decide to think about the future you, when you decide to let today be difficult, when you decide to let today suffer for the sole purpose of your life being easier in the future, doing things becomes much more easier. Staying consistent becomes much more easier because you know you're doing it for the future you. You know that when you wait to do things later, it becomes way more difficult. So think about you exercising, or you eating right, or you trying to meditate and journal, or you trying to do personal work that you know is going to improve your life. Think about how you're going to feel if the next year round or this very day you haven't done anything towards your goals. You're going to be upset with the past you. You're going to be upset with the version of you that kept putting it off for a later date. You're going to be upset with the version of yourself that was too tired or too afraid to spend a little more time doing those things. So to make things easier for yourself, instead of you having to force yourself to do things when the day is over and when you're too tired, because all these things require you to have a certain amount of willpower within you, which depletes over time. It's like a battery that runs out throughout the day. When you're awake, it's 100% full, and then as the day goes by, it keeps decreasing until you have none. Every day it recharges and you can start from there. So think about it like a battery. If you decide to use most of your energy in the beginning of your day towards things that really matter to you, towards things that you find important and you know that are going to elevate the quality of life, why not spend the first few hours of your day doing those things? And the good part about it is these habits are synergistic. They feed off each other. For you to be able to do those habits in the beginning of your day before you start anything, you need to be able to wake up early. In order for you to wake up early, you need to sleep early. In order for you to sleep early, you need to spend less time on your phone before you get to bed. Your excuse is going to be, I would have to wake up too early for me to actually have these things done done, then that's good. When you wake up early and you increase the amount of hours that you spend doing things throughout the day, you get tired enough to sleep early the next day. When you wake up in the morning and you work out and you're breathing heavily, the first thing that you're going to think about is, I need water. You're not going to be thinking about the juice that you left in the fridge. So I hope I've been able to give you a different perspective on how to approach habits. You don't always have to do things 1% better at a time or do things with slow incremental progress. You can also decide to go all in and do all the things that you know are necessary for you to improve in life. And in order for you to stay consistent, keep in mind the future you. Think about what's important to you and what really matters to you and how you want to wake up the next day. Do you want to wake up feeling energized? Do you want to wake up feeling motivated? Do you want to wake up feeling confident in yourself? Or do you want to wake up the next day feeling a bit sluggish, feeling like you're not ready for the day, you're too tired, and you know deep down that you're not going to do the things that you know are important for you? So yes, do it for the future you, and remember, everything that you decide lay off for later is always going to be more and more difficult to do later down the line than it would have been to do it now. So all the best with your habits.